Okay, I've got the first slide up, and that's good. This is the part of the conference in which we recognize certain individuals who have been very active in the application sciences for a period of time. And let me just check with those at a distance to make sure they're hearing me okay. So how is the audio? I hear somebody chiming. It sounds like they're trying to get my attention. It says increase the mic gain. User Tony George is waiting for you. Ted Swift loud and clear. Okay, so I guess I'm going to continue. Let's go to the next slide, please. Okay, very good. We're going to give out 2 awards this year. We were asked as an awards committee to address 2 different topics. One was the Homer F. DaBoll Award, which we've now done for a number of years. And to that, we've added a second award called the David E. Laird Award. Next slide, please. The background for the DaBoll Award, it was named in honor of Homer F. DaBoll, 1920 to 1990. He was an organizer of grazing occultation expeditions in the Midwest USA beginning in the late 60s. He suggested the name International Occultation and Timing Association. He was a founding officer of IOTA in 1975, also Secretary and Treasurer, and he was the first editor of the Occultation newsletter from 1974 through 1990. Previous awardees include David Harold in 2007, Edward Gopin in 2008, Steve Preston in 2009. Steve is with us today. Haristo Pavlo, 2010. Scotty Degenhardt, 2011. And last year, Kasia Mayashita in 2012. Next slide, please. Now, the background for the Laird Award, it's named in honor of David E. Laird, 1931 to 1968, and we're relying on memory, so if somebody has better dates, we would appreciate the information. He was a physics teacher in Ohio, Cincinnati, Ohio, an organizer of grazing occultations and expeditions in the Midwest USA beginning in the early 1960s. I think the first date I saw associated with his name was 1964. Published articles during that period of time. My favorite article that I read of his is Have Telescope Will Travel, and he's talking about chasing shadows. He's confirmed the existence of a giant impact basin on the lunar far side. He suffered from leukemia and died at the young age of 37 in 1968. Previous awardees, none. This is the first year that we've considered the Laird Award. Next slide, please. Now, the selection process is pretty straightforward. It's the same selection process that we've used in years past. We have a committee that is organized. All previous awardees of the DaBoll Award are invited to participate. We have a few others that are also included, such as Robert Buchan, who was the first chair of the committee, and myself, and Colin Haig. Am I pronouncing it correctly? Colin Haig? Colin Haig in Canada. And previous recipients, by and large, have participated in the selection process. Next slide, please. So we use the same committee for both awards and for other activities associated with awarding. In terms of who's eligible, you do not have to be a member of IOTA to receive either of these awards. It's based primarily on your contribution to the occultation sciences, and that can be in almost any capacity. It's just a matter of being recognized, nominated, and then recognized and ultimately selected. The only ones who cannot be nominated and awarded are sitting officers of IOTA. We made the call through the Yahoo group. That's our largest way of communicating with the International Occultation and Timing Association. But we also invite any member or anyone reading the Yahoo group to distribute the call for nominations to their local astronomy associations or societies or clubs and to other information groups like in Europe or in Australia or New Zealand or anywhere in Asia. So it's open to the world from a nomination point of view. They send the nominations to me. I share them with the rest of the committee. When we share the nominations, it's always done via email. And what I do is I take the nominating document and attach it to the list of those who have been nominated so that the rest of the committee sees everything that I've seen, reference an individual, and then we go through a discussion process. Next slide, please. This discussion process is designed not to gain just a numerical account of who you vote for, but to explore each candidate in depth, rely on the information available to the other committee members. We often rely on Google searches and go out and see if we can drill down and figure out a little bit more about who's being nominated. It's all done in private communications between members of the committee. No one within IOTA is aware of what we're doing or exactly how we're doing it. I can share with you that those who have been in IOTA the longest can be dominant within this group. And thankfully they are, because somebody like myself, I've now been doing this for several years, I still feel like I'm just beginning the process. And you have to rely on people that have been at it for 20, 30, 40, 50 years in some cases to know, especially when you start talking about the Laird Award, exactly who should be considered. The difference between the DaBoll Award and the Laird Award is when we talk about the Laird Award, we're looking for significant contributions made prior to 15 years ago. So we're looking for people who may or may not be active today, but who are remembered and nominated for that award. Next slide, please. So we have 15 nominations. There were 9 for the Laird Award and 6 for the DaBoll Award. I think I've covered most of these items. We asked individual committee members to select 2 or 3 that are their favorites or first picks in terms of who should be considered in detail. We look at those numbers. We start to discuss amongst ourselves with email being shared with all members of the committee, and ultimately we make a selection. The selection for the DaBoll Award was made on the very first round. We went through a second round of discussions on the Laird Award, and then the selection there was also unanimous. Next slide, please. So the awardee this year for the DaBoll Award is Graham L. Blow, and I believe that he is with us in the conference site, and we may be able to turn the microphone over to him, but let me pull out the plaque, and if I can ask Steve Preston, and I see you're busy with a camera, David. We have a couple of efforts to record this event occurring in the room right now. If I step over here, I'm on camera. So if you will come up here, you can see where we are on that camera there. And I'll use the good graces of Steve Preston, the incoming president of IOTA, to receive the award on behalf of Graham L. Blow. And the award reads, Graham L. Blow, for his dedicated leadership, the establishment of TDSO, and the editorship and promotion associated with occultation, raises, and eclipses. So I'll pass that to you, and you can put it on camera for them to see. They also have it up on the screen, and for those that are video recording, that would probably be appropriate. For those of you that are listening afar, I must tell you I can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cameras making an effort to record this for Graham's benefit. So thank you very much. Now we will continue. Oh, they want a photo on it. It needs to be in this photo. I'm calling David Dunham to come forward. I'm actually serving of his lead. David?
Okay, well, the main thing I want to say is PTSO, or PTOS, stands for Trans-Tasman Occupations Symposium, which is sort of down under answer to the European Symposium on Occupation Projects, and that includes, of course, both New Zealand and Australia, and they ping pong the meeting between the two countries. And I think there's one member who lives in Papua New Guinea as well, so it's that part of it. Yeah.
Very good. Now, I'm going to release the mic and see if Graham would like to make a comment. Okay, we're leaving the lights up in the document site so that I can show up on camera. And I'm going to step back to the podium so I can see the slides. Next slide, please. Graham has been president of the Royal Astronomical Society of New Zealand, occultation section, for over 20 years. He has been central in all efforts to keep occultation observing active in our region, including running the New Zealand website, compiling the newsletter known as the OCSEC Circular, posting predictions to observers not online, developing the Trans-Tasman Symposium on Occultations, now planning for TTSO 8 in Melbourne, Australia in 2014. Next slide, please. The next award goes to Harold R. Pogenmeyer. And Harold, if you will come up, I call him Hal, so the publication name is Harold. And if we can get on camera, if you see that window there, okay, and have you step away from the camera so that we can get a full frame shot. And Steve and David, you'll come up. See that? They're not on camera right now. You tell them? I'm just in your lap. Does anyone notice how small I am? Step this way. Step this way? Yeah, well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give this award to David Dunham and let him do the presentation. Okay? Okay, yeah. So we have a better fight scene here. If you're facing this little camera here, it'll look better to the audience, and that's framing the shot right here. Okay, I think I stepped out a little back. More to your left. More to the left. I think that's called a dismounted drill. Okay, and this award reads for his 50 years of lunar grazing occultations work, including leading expeditions, authoring, teaching and training, and observing. Kind of smile. Did you hear about the queer bear? Oh, geez, I'm going to kill the microphone if you start telling jokes. He laid his paw on the table. If you try to practice like this, you'll be getting shot well. If I could have the next slide, please. Yeah, congratulations. He looked and called me the horse thief. Well, I got something right. I'd just like to make a couple comments, and that is, number one, I congratulate the nominating committee for choosing Graham Blow. My wife and I visited him down in Auckland, New Zealand, and I had never met him before, but he was just a very charming, enthusiastic, just on fire for occultations.
And there couldn't have been a better choice that I know of to have been made. I'm surprised he didn't get it years ago. I went through at David's suggestion because over 50 years, by the way, in 3 more days it will be 50 years since David and I participated in the Zeta Tau application, and I don't know where you got it from. Where did you get it from?
Well, I made a prediction and published it in the Sky Telescope.
But you didn't observe it?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, I had a miss, but the point of it is, we had a 69-inch telescope there, and I wasn't going to set up a 6-inch, another 200 meters north, but 200 meters north would have gotten the tip of the mountain. So I had the observation that made the most. When I went through and revised and put all the occultations that I had observed on one form, meaning one form for each grace and for each observer, it turns out that I had raised 3 major teams, each of which lasted maybe 10 to 12 years, and it turns out that there was 1,045 observers that had observed 5 or more grazes that reduced in the O's and C's were in a very tight knot, meaning that these were very accomplished observers. And when you think about 1,000, now there's many more that went out on expeditions, but these were the guys who were out there with the Florida mosquitoes, the idiotic Florida police officers that see a bear behind every bush, and the no-see-ums, because you can't see them, but boy, you can sure feel them, and so forth. This honor does not go to me. It goes to those observers. And I'm going to, all those that I can gather up, I will send out a picture or an announcement and tell them, thank you for your participation. Those are the people that supported me. Anytime you become fanatical about something, you also develop critics. And I'll say something about this. Thank you to the critics that I had, because a lot of times there was a confirming observation that was 200 or 300 kilometers out, and I wouldn't have ordinarily gone to it, but because there was some criticism, I said, my God, I'm going out there, I'm going to get that damn thing, it's the last thing I ever do, you know. So I would get in the car and I would make a very long expedition. One in particular went from Cape Canaveral, Florida, to St. John's, Newfoundland, 4,000 miles each way. There was a double graze of alcyone and IOTA, which I was particularly interested in. And so the whole Royal Canadian Astronomical Society came one out and helped me mark the stations and everything. And in the course of this, I couldn't move 48 observers, so we just took the one end that wasn't going to get anything and took it to the other end, and the rest stayed in the middle. And it turned out to be very good, except that in the 42 minutes between the 2 crazes, alcyone, which was bright limb, we were able to get. And in the meantime, clouds rolled over in the Tahitian I did not get. And the people in northern United States said that they could hear somebody in the middle of the night swearing and carrying on up there. And I think I know who it might have been, but I blamed it on the moose and the mosquitoes. But thank you very much, and remember, this is not for me, this is for the observers that supported me. By the way, when I talked with Tom Van Flandern at the Naval Observatory when I worked there, and I knew I was going back to a teaching job, and so I said to him
you suppose that junior high students could be trained to accurately observe grazing occupations? And he said, no, we couldn't count those. They're far too immature, they would be too immature and not responsible enough. Well, I didn't see it that way, because the students I had were the sons and daughters of the men that were working on the moon rockets, as I had, and I thought they could. And there have been team leaders that have been suggested to be dictators, and I voluntarily accept that title as a benevolent dictator. But any time I saw a kid that would buy his own telescope and build it, buy the parts and build it, and would go out night after night timing photo occultations, then by chance we had the IOTA Capricorni graves go over Titusville, Florida, which is the right place. And I formed a 4-mile line along there, and that took the world's record at that time, 235 timings, until this horse thief right here was the guy that beat me out a year or two later. But I at least got my revenge by getting a few observations from Florida, which helped. I'm not going to hold this up much longer. Now, the 7th grade students I had in that class are now grandfathers, and they're still active on my team. And I think that is an incredible amount of dedication that those students gave. So thank you, and if you listen real carefully, you can hear some of the students chanting, ah, 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 ah. But I do appreciate this, and let's hope that IOTA will have some person on down the road that will surpass all these records, somebody that may not be born yet. And I also want to acknowledge my wife, who has been my partner, and let's get a picture of her. Come on up here. Come on up.
Bob Sandy says, way to go, you well deserve the first award. Richard Nugent says, way to go, Hal. Ted Swift says, smile, Harold.
Okay, I'd like to present that to you. And this is one of the second happiest times, because I got to be able to present her an asteroid in Houston a few years ago, 13 years ago. And what she didn't know was I had bought the awards, and I made her carry them around all day.
Oh, man.
And she complained all day, and I laughed all day, but I didn't dare let anyone see it. But she was very deserving of her asteroid, and so forth. Some people call it a hemorrhoid, but we'll call it an asteroid.
Thank you.
Again, thank you, everyone. And David, thank you in particular for supporting me over the years, and we will just all of you dedicate yourselves to keeping this force in action. And we've got some really great people here. Paul Maley has done some wonderful eclipse and asteroid work, and I could point to many of the others here. And Don Mason, he's our favorite Canadian, and so forth. And I said to him the other day, I said, this is Don Mason, he wore those damn horses, and I apologize for that. He's a pony thief, possibly, but only Canadian pony. Okay,
Thank you.
very much.
Hal Probenmeyer was one of the first Grays observers, October 8, 1963. He has led over 500 Grays expeditions, may have been the first to see an asteroid moon, 129 Antiope, October 12, 1974.
Antigone, 129 Antigone.
Well, you'll have to submit your corrections in writing. It's already been peer-reviewed, and you can debate it. But I do need to get the corrections, because we will post the final set of slides with some of these photographs on the IOTA website. One expedition with Paul Malley obtained 235 cords, the largest number for any single event, 1983. Published the first book on grazes in 1977, and co-authored an Occultation Observer's Handbook, 2006. Has published over 250 articles on occultations and other fields associated with the solar system, material, meteorites, space travel, tektites, and has authored books on other subjects. Has not one but two asteroids associated with his name, 12753 Povenmire for Katie, and 15146 Hal Poe for Hal. So congratulations again, Hal. Next slide, please. Now, I want to dwell on this topic just briefly. The importance of awards allows an organization to state clearly what it values in its members, recognizes the significant contributions made by members, permits us to honor those we admire and whom we wish to emulate, provides a permanent record of the significant work done by those we have sought to honor, and thus we have one more award to confer. Next slide, please. Joan, could you come up and tell me who these people are?
My camera has died. Oh my goodness.
And note where you are on camera, and just tell us who's in the photograph here.
On my wedding day, our wedding day, I was standing on the Milwaukee Astronomical Society grave table.
And
it was a pullable item.
yeah,
Portable.
Dave Harold knew exactly what that was when he saw the photograph.
Yes. That's Tom Van Cleinen to the left, Ron Elliott next to him.
Homer DaBoll.
Homer DaBoll.
Yeah.
So who's next to Homer?
Edward Hobart,
Ed
the
Hobart.
president of the Milwaukee Astronomical Society. He was the fourth behind that table.
Right. And David and I, of course, on the right side.
And some have commented, I wasn't there, so I don't know. Some have commented that you have not aged a day since then.
Yeah, right, thank you very much.
The-
Put on pounds, gray hair, black hair, and so forth and so forth.
So could we have the next slide, please? So if you would help me, John, I need to keep you up here. We have one more award.
Oh, thank you.
And Steve, if you could come back up.
Come here. Straighten yourself out.
This award reads, a Lifetime Achievement Award presented to David W. Dunham for his leadership, commitment, and tireless efforts towards the promotion of all aspects of occultation science. IOTA looks forward to his ongoing contribution. So, if you would pass that.
Yeah. Very nice.
This will become a YouTube video, so. I'll edit Hal's joke out. So. Oh, jeez. Next slide, please. You're more than welcome. Awarded for his dedication, the father of modern-day occultations, for organizing and leading IOTA, for his decades of dedication and commitment to the organization and all things associated with occultations, for the inspiration he has been to the hundreds, if not thousands, of observers who have followed in his footsteps, for his thoughtfulness and consideration of others. We're proud to award you with the Lifetime Award. Thank you again. Steve Messer, here. Roger Venner, no way to adequately express the appreciation to David for his work. Thank you so very much, David. Okay, next slide, please. I think that may be the end of it. That may be the last slide. Okay, I'm going to release the microphone at this time. We'll be back on schedule.
Okay, I would suggest one time, and then we non-officer for